Remix. 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 Remix.
Good morning, Baltimore. I'm kidding. Good morning. No one else is here, but it's okay because I continue to show up on time despite my willingness to never know what time it is. So, shout out to me. Hey, Chitty Matcha. Hey, Shirley. Good morning. What's up, Zero PE? I'm gonna be in your hood. Let's get some good food or something. I really should probably find Tanvi because she's supposed to lead this. I mean, I agree with what she wants to do, but I need her to like kind of lead it. So let me check on her and see where she is. Yeah, because she ain't here.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Zenzi, I can hear you.
Okay, let me turn on my camera. I sent you a text message, so I wasn't sure whether you were coming on. Tandy, you didn't get our text messages?
I wasn't paying attention to the text messages because I was starting the show.
Okay, that was like 20 minutes ago. Good morning, Yeah, Tandy is still in vampire mode. So she said she tried to take a nap. That didn't work. She asked both of us if it was okay for her to take the day off. And
it's me not seeing the messages.
I was like, it ain't my call. And she was like, I'm gonna be extra grumpy. I was like, you know what? Take the day off.
No, she should just come on and be extra grumpy.
That would be cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Let me call her.
Yes, you should call.
What does she think this is? Oh, I see it now. Amber, too slow. I'm out. That's so crazy. I was taking my trash to the end of the street.
She waited like 30 seconds. Like, no.
I was taking my trash to the end of the street. It's trash day.
You know, I'm the personal friend. She ain't gonna listen to me. She ain't gonna answer the phone if I go off.
Why is she not gonna listen to you?
That's our love language. Oh, Grace, you talking about call her again.
No. Let me pull up the run sheet because
I love her. This is what she will stay up all night because she's a night owl like me. But you know,
she's a psychopath. Got you.
This is Cool Herc, y'all. He's 1,000 pounds.
Let me see.
Won't leave me alone.
Oh, he's fat.
He's fat, and as you can see, he's very attached to me.
But he's not that fat.
No, he's not fat. He's 14 pounds. I mean, for a cat, that's kind of big.
Okay, yeah. This guy that I was dating has a cat that's 21 pounds, and he said he don't know how she got that big.
He doesn't know how she got that big.
I said the cat's name is Mama. I said, nah, she's Big Mama, cause what? Okay.
No, this was a long time ago. My ex, who I grew up with, this was like in my 20s. He had a cat that was 23 pounds before she just plopped up. Like she would drag her ass from one end of the kitchen to the food bowl and nothing else. If you just let a cat, if you just put food out and just let a cat eat whenever. And I have this litter mate is 7 pounds. She's normal. You know, and also she didn't really give a shit about this. This one. So yes, this is my cat first stole this morning. I'm highly fashionable.
That's wild. Yeah, he got her a harness because he was gonna take her for walks, whatever. I couldn't even see the harness on her because she's so fat. It was like in her skin. You couldn't even see that she had the harness on. And I was like, "Do you have it on her? Like, hold her up." And he was like, "Hold her." I said, "I don't see anything." And you really could not see it. I said, "Oh, she's so big." Not the cat getting stuck.
No, he'll find his way out. Okay. Pissed me off this weekend. He will be fine. There he is. There he is. Look at this face. Look at this face. Turn your face around.
I'm
Anyway,
good with the dog.
I'm good with nothing, but
My dog don't do all this.
I'm good with nothing. All right. This would be I said that before. When my cat Eartha Kitty died in 2019, I was like, that's it. Enjoying my life. And then my friend had bought she rescued two little kittens that were litter mates for her kids. And she already had a dog. And then they loved these two. And all of a sudden one day, the girl, Lexi, she woke up and had a severe allergy anytime she got near the cats. Like I guess you can develop an allergy. So my friend called, she's like, I know you weren't looking for a cat, but you're really, really good with cats, and I don't want to get them separated if I have to take them. I was like, fine.
You fell for it.
I damn sure did. I did.
Played you.
And me and him, it took us a long time for things to work out because he does not listen, number one. And you tell him not to do something.
I thought cats don't listen in general.
No, they don't. And he'll run out the room and come back in and go ahead and do it. Like, to your face. Cats will do shit to your face. Like, I'm knocking this off the shelf and you're looking at me doing it. Yeah. So.
I don't like it.
But I will say, I used to use a spray bottle, but then, I was like, I don't want to keep spraying with water. And then I would just show the spray bottle and they'd go running, but he'd come back. So I one day, I had to clean my keyboard and everything. I'm doing deep cleaning. And I used the can of air and they went running. It wasn't even for them. And they didn't come back. I think it's
traumatized them.
I didn't mean to. So yeah, cats are good pets with business people because they're independent. That's very true. As long as you have automatic food. I do have automatic food and water dispenser. I can leave them for a few days. This one right here has the nerve to have separation anxiety. They were traumatized when they were kittens because their mother abandoned them because both of them have like a film over their eyes and they have some level of blindness. And the vet was like, yeah, one of them's completely blind and the other one's probably blind. When I'm like, have you seen them run around here and jump off shit? I beg to differ. So, but no. And also I work from home, so they're
not that blind.
Exactly. I work from home, so I'm used to being at home and they're used to me being here all the time. So I just leave the house, just they get used to it. So,
That makes sense. I try to leave sometimes I leave my house at least for like an hour every day so my dog doesn't get too weird because he has separation anxiety too.
Dogs are worse. Even if they don't have separation anxiety, they don't want to be alone. They're pack animals. It's like, how could you leave me? I thought you were.
John said my macaw will likely outlive me.
Oh yeah,
I'll never get another pet.
Mm-hmm. And can you really leave a bird alone for too long? Like, can you go on vacation for days? And I don't know if they have automatic feeders for birds. So I don't know. Yeah, some cats are independent. My cat was self-entitled. You better not leave me. That's that boy right here. That's this boy. His little mate, the girl, she don't give a shit. She's like, yo, feed me. I'll come to you when I feel like it. Yeah.
Cats are so interesting. I could never get a cat either. I know some people in the chat are talking about cats. Zero PE said cats say humans not in charge. Exactly. Right. That's why we have no cat, because they don't follow instructions. And
I was reading an article where they were just like, cats do, the longer they're around humans, they understand what you're saying. They just don't give a shit. It's like, I heard you tell me to get off. You obviously weren't talking to me. So
yeah, they don't care.
But the boy, clingy. I call it his nickname is Baby Boy because he's super, super unhealthily attached to his mama. Me. Can't deal with it.
Yeah, I don't like that. John said he's only ever seen a Karen with the cat on a leash. And listen,
me too. But
This nigga put the cat on the leash because she wants to go outside and like venture out. So he'll have to go sit on the porch with her and she'll go and walk around the porch. But then she starts to go down the steps. And every day they do it, she starts going down more and more steps. So then he went and got her a harness so he could just walk her down the steps because she wants to go like walk around their apartment, like they have this large like playground, grassy area. She wants to go over there, obviously, because she keeps walking closer to it. He put that harness on her. She she can't do nothing. She like fell out. She can't move. Her body won't move. We had to coax her down the steps. It was ridiculous. I said, take this shit off of her. If I ask want to go be free, let her be free. Because she acting a fool.
And she's, cats don't like, unless you got a really, really new kitten and you start the kitten off with the harness like a few minutes a day and just increase it. They don't like that shit. They don't even like collars. Let me try to get a collar on these two cats. I'll need stitches afterwards. Like, no. Like, what are you doing?
No. That's wild.
It is. So, yeah. But again, I have a cat. Well, I had Earthy Kitty because I could leave for a few days. And I also had family that would stay at my house when I was, on vacation. And then when I was in Bed-Stuy, my upstairs neighbor would just like look after them. And then, yeah, so I'm here, not in Brooklyn, and I don't have anybody that can do that lives near me. So I, have to pay for sitting and stuff like that. And,
I have to pay for a sitter too, but I mean, sometimes I ask my friends to watch them for free, but for the most part, I just pay for a sitter because the sitter has a dog and he likes playing with her dog, and I'd much rather he be able to play with her dog than like just be one of my friends.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna do nothing for you.
Yeah, my friend actually took care of them. She has a cat. She left her cat at home because that's a whole nother story. Don't try to bring another cat in with other adult cats who don't know them. But until she took care of them. She loves them. I'm like, okay, fine. And I told her, I was like, I'll pay her. I'll pay you because that's the first time I asked her. She was like, you don't have to pay me. It's fine. Okay. So, yeah. But anyway,
I'm looking up some stories real quick since I didn't have the run sheet pulled up.
We did have questions for Amber, since this is Amber's milieu. And Tandy,
for me,
Tandy did text that over the weekend, but hey, since we don't really have the extensive inside information, I don't have it anymore. The Voting Rights Act and your impression take on,
Oh, okay. I thought it was like real questions. Okay.
See, this was your thing.
No, I wouldn't say that, but
not your thing. Yeah. But I mean, more about the legislative, environs and stuff. I left this in 2012 and ran away. So yeah, like I'm still like involved from the outside, but I'm not anywhere. Yeah, as you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Tandy wanted me to explain the Voting Rights Act and like what changes were made. So the Louisiana v. Calais decision came down last week. I talked about it a little bit on Friday before I had to go to an emergency press conference. So I can talk about it more in depth now. But the Calais decision basically does gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by changing the requirements or the conditions for someone to claim, like a map is drawn with racist intent, or a map is drawn in a way that does not give Black people fair representation, by proving harm. But instead of proving harm, they would have to prove intentional discrimination as described by the 15th Amendment. So the 15th Amendment requires discrimination to be intentional, and that you would have to prove intentional discrimination, which we know there's no way that someone could prove intentional discrimination. Unless I got a hot mic on a state rep saying we finna do this one particular thing, there's really no way to prove intentional discrimination. So yeah,
even
that's why people
there's really no way to approve.
Yeah. So that's why people are mostly, upset about it, talking about how like there's such a big impact here. Like this is going to really affect us because several of the southern red states are calling special sessions, including Tennessee, to redraw the congressional map. So Mississippi has called for a special session. Alabama called for a special session that starts today. Tennessee called for a special session that starts tomorrow, which is actually election day here. So I won't be there because I'll be here for election day. Also, because I have to vote. I haven't voted. I waited till election day because I didn't know how I was voting for. Like, this election has been insane here. Like, there's been so much going on. I'm trying to like make informed decisions, and I was like on the fence about who I would vote for a lot of the bigger races. So yeah, I hadn't voted yet. So the Alabama one is going to be interesting. I will just say I think it's so interesting how Trump just like got all these people's balls in his hands, because they all were saying the governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey, was like, I'm not calling a special session. She didn't see a reason to. And I'm pretty sure Trump called her ass and she was like, okay, I'll do it now. And literally called it the next day. And then our governor was like, yeah, I'm not committed to doing that. The lieutenant governor was like, yeah, we have fair legal maps. I don't see a reason to do that. And then the next day, talking about, yeah, we finna call a special session. I said, y'all are such weak bitches.
They are.
It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And that's, you know.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Ashy Knuckles. Sister Ashy, how you doing?
Sister Ashy Knuckles.
I love it.
Does anybody have any questions about what I'm saying, or do y'all live in these places?
I don't. However, the people that I know that I've talked to that are outside the movement are panicking and freaking out, like, this is it for us. And, you know, I did not have a coherent response, and I really don't believe in lying to people. So I was just like, let me not say anything until I figure out what effect it would have or could have that would ripple up north. I know DeSantis already had plans. Like, he was like, yeah, we already changed ours, like whatever. So I wonder if, like, you know, what impact, if there is any, on other states that, you know, have quote unquote nothing to do with this. I remember when California, god damn it, that fucking man. The governor was like, okay, we'll redraw ours. You know, I don't know what the plans are for other states to kind of compensate for it, if there are any. So
yeah, I said that too. I was like, you know, because one of the key things that was in the decision is that they were going to change the conditions that are required. So currently, the Supreme Court uses a Gingell's framework from a case, the Gingell's like court case, to decide if there's a Section 2 violation. So they're changing the conditions to say that because the world has changed so much and like there's modern technology, when people are making these illustrative maps, you would have to prove racist intent from the illustrative maps, and that intent cannot be proven from a state making the map based off of their redistricting criteria and their own political goals. So if a state is using their political goals as a reasoning for drawing the map, then you can't say, oh, this map is racist because of that. But to me, that means then all these blue states need to go add 10 seats.
Exactly. That's because my thing is always, oh, y'all could do this, maybe we can do it too. You know, I have zero faith in New York congressional and U.S. Senate, you know, House and Senate representatives at all, because Hakeem and Chuck Schumer are both New Yorkers. And Hakeem, when I left Brooklyn, he was in, you know, represented my district when he was assemblyman. So, and also New York State, up until very recently, and it, you know, even then, you know, nothing is permanent, but I was for 42 straight years before 2010, they were majority Republican anyway. And the only area that was not was New York City, and Long Island is not part of New York City, you know.
Two separate areas. Right,
two separate areas, even though Brooklyn and Queens are physically on Long Island. Brooklyn and Queens are part of New York City. Long Island is Long Island. And Long Island might as well be, you know, fucking yeah, because they've always had primarily Republicans. And honestly, yes, there's much racism, but their excuse is we don't want to have to pay all these taxes. So, whatever. Yeah, so I don't really put too much faith in the representatives from New York. Even on a small level, even on the city council level, I know that there were some people in Brooklyn like Jemani Williams that seem to be doing some things. Chai,
I love Jemani.
oh, I do too. Chai Osei was
Chi.
going, yeah, Chi, sorry, he was going to be, well, he did was covering my district before, like just before I moved out of Brooklyn. And I also was just like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see, because I know that you can have the most radical ideas and get voted on those, and then you start hanging out with your cohorts, your fellow legislators, and you start, that money start looking good to you from those sponsors. And there's also a whole lot of pressure. And I forgot who this white woman who was a senator
I think
out
if
in
you can't
California.
handle the pressure, you shouldn't run.
Right. And she
If
was
you're
talking
gonna be
about,
a
like,
weak bitch, don't do it.
exactly. And she's out in California. I think she ran for governor and didn't get it or whatever. And she was saying, yeah, I've seen the pressure, because they're like, oh, why are you going to do that? Why are you going to try and do this? Why don't you do, it's not just you, it's everybody else. And if you're not strong enough to do that, AOC, then why are you here? You got elected on promise, and this happens all the time, okay? All the fucking time. You get elected on promises and you don't deliver. I mean, I think the same thing happened with Chokwe Antar. Everyone had, but the thing is, he was never his dad. He might have been closer, but he's never his dad. Was never going to be the Chokwe. And he had so much pressure put on him and so many microscopes on him. I don't know. So yeah, I agree. You should run to be a one-term candidate. One thing that I also learned, as far as New York, because I'm here and that's all I can speak on, and I did not travel in my capacity. It seems like New York legislators, basically their focus is getting reelected. That's it. If they write a bill, hey, fine. But their focus is to get reelected. And their staff, they're the ones that out there talking to people and doing all the work and answering calls and all this other stuff. And hopefully, enough calls were made to sway that representative, but they're not the ones answering the calls at all. So it's like, yeah, a million people called. Oh, that's fucked up. I have to take them, so we have to listen. So,
Yeah, I think that, well, when I was gonna say, I knew Jemani before he ran for his like big seat that he ran for. And then he ran for public advocate after that, after he didn't win. And he's only like been rising. I think public advocate is the best position for him though. I feel like he has done the best work as the public advocate. I think it's so interesting that y'all have a position called the public advocate, because we don't have that. I've never seen anything like that in the South.
okay.
So I think it's interesting that New York even has that like position. But I really wish she had still run for that seat.
Oh yeah. But I don't know what his, like I said, I don't know his goals are. I do know that the senator in my district, most of the time I was there, she was low key. She's very low key. She stayed for a long time, then she retired. She was like, and she had no goals to move any further than she already was as senator.
And I think that's fine. I feel like people always want people to have these like extravagant goals and ideas. Some people just want to do that one thing.
Yeah. But that's the thing about capitalism. It's like you must want more. Like you have to want more. This can't be it.
And I don't want more.
Right, exactly. And like contentment is anti-capitalist. It's like, how are you content? You have to buy this shit. Now, somebody, Shirley Indy, can you bring up her if voting wasn't important? Because I have a take on that. And then
Amber, you still weren't able to bring it up?
Huh? Oh,
did you try scrolling over it?
Hold up. I'll do it.
What I was gonna say.
If voting wasn't Shirley Indy, if voting wasn't important, the GOP wouldn't be so preoccupied with black voters. I think it's a yes and because number one, my take is always just because white folks think something is important doesn't mean that it is. They would try to keep nasty ass green beans and whatever fried onions away from you, and that shit is nasty when you finally get it. So, Amber, you want to take this because I've never believed that. Like just because they think something is important doesn't validate it.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I think that everything is a tool that you can use. It's not the ultimate answer, and I think that's I see a lot of people focus too much on one or the other. Like they focus on organizing, or they focus heavily on voting, or they focus heavily on advocacy, but they're not doing like little bits and pieces of each.
Exactly.
And I have only been successful when I either created a coalition that's doing all those things together, or I was doing small bits and pieces of each thing. But it never was helpful to just only do one. And I think the problem with like voting advocates is that they hammer it so hard and use so many scare tactics that it doesn't work on people, and then they're upset that it's not working on people versus thinking about the like type of tactics they're using and how that's like resonating with people. But I don't think that people think that through. And I also think that people are used to winning. So they're like, they're just assuming that this isn't going to work, which is not true. Like it's worked in a lot of places.
Yeah. And I agree. And this is something that could be studied. So we're not making the same mistakes we've been making. You don't focus on just one thing. I had a discussion with a friend of mine. I had to kind of pause. Again, I was like, I need more information before I continue this discussion. She was just like, that's all we have. All we have is voting. I'm like, whew, yeah. So I
all we have is not voting.
I know this, but this, yeah. I have always disagreed with white people are holding on something, it must be good. No, they have bad ass tastes in general and shit. Like, why do they steal so much shit from us? The biggest racists, the biggest white supremacists are raising up a black power fist. They're using our language, even though they fucking hate us. Fuck around and find out. And I'm just like, if you were so supreme, you wouldn't have to steal from my culture. Then again, this whole thing about a way off tangent, but not really. If you believe that you were superior and your looks were superior, like that, whatever, looks maxing guy, then you wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of money on plastic surgery because you're already superior. You wouldn't have to get a tan because white skin is, so it's just like, whatever. So I don't really put too much value in something just because white people hold it dearly. Absolutely. I might do the exact opposite because of that. So I've heard I heard that argument so many times that I actually had a discussion with a close friend of mine years ago. We were back when we were both in MXG, and we were talking about that. Like, hey, well, maybe, like, no, I don't agree. So, 100. Oh, I'm gonna bring in Titi Machas.
You good? I'm gonna pull up this other article while you do that.
Okay. 100,000 plus people have become newly unhoused over the last few years across Dem and Republican administrations. Voting does not impact this. Absolutely. And that could be 100,000 plus people in one area. It could be in one area, it could be across different areas, but absolutely. And what also does not voting does not impact is you could vote for all the black representatives who say they're going to do what they promise they're going to do. But so far, anybody that's been in office has not been able to stop not only police brutality, but the charging of those officers and making sure that they get punished. There are so many things that they do not do and cannot do just because somebody voted for them, especially once they're in office. And again, million people, like I do advocate you voted someone in, you believe that that's, going to do something, and you don't hold them accountable by either calling them or reaching out to them personally or going to somewhere where they're going to be and, having a targeted way to, hey, what's going on with this? Then you're just kind of waiting for 4 years. Okay, I'll get you 4 years later. What were you going to put up?
My bad. I thought I turned my alarm off earlier. I was reading what people were saying. I mean, I don't agree, but I also think it depends on the type of organizing you're doing. Like, assuming that people are supposed to resolve an issue and you're not organizing around it, I don't think is realistic. I think
I agree.
the like homeless crisis happening in LA and California right now is a great example. Yeah, hey Rob, that's my ringtone. Let's not talk about it. I love that song. Um, I think it's a good example. Like, I've seen people organizing around it, and I also think that the people who are elected don't really care.
Yep.
And should there be? I feel like there should be way more pressure put on them. But I mean, I don't live in California. I don't live in LA. I'm living in San Francisco, so I'm not gonna tell people how to respond to stuff that's happening where they are. But there are people like I know locally where I am working to like build more houses here. It's like all these affordable housing initiatives that we just launched, and they're working to build more houses because there really aren't enough houses for people.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard for them to get homes to live in, and then the apartments are just like skyrocketed expensive. Like it's just insane.
Mhm.
So I mean, unless there's an initiative happening to build more housing or a way to hold them accountable, like I know also we have the hospitality hub here, which is like a unhoused support resource place, and they just built like 20 tiny houses in different parts of the city, so people have housing while they're becoming stable to then eventually get permanent housing. But like in the meantime, they need somewhere to live,
Oh, yeah.
and that was a solution. But and I've seen other places do that, but some places aren't doing even that, like even finding a middle ground solution.
Yeah. You're very right. And I know that, the problem in New York is multi-leveled where you have people that are unhoused, people with jobs, people that can afford to, live someplace
Mm,
if the rent were reasonable. And then you also have people that are unhoused and mentally ill, and the resources have basically been cut. And so they don't have any place to go. And also they used to sleep on trains overnight. They used to be in subways, and the police seems to be focused on kicking them out. And so I remember now. I'm in Queens. I have to drive 15 minutes to the nearest subway station, and I remember there was a man, and this was last year, maybe like November. I saw him one time, and he would be just on the side street where the Walgreens was. And he just sat out there. There isn't a visible unhoused population in my neighborhood. And so having someone sit out there on the ground in the winter in the freezing cold was kind of unusual, but not, it's New York City. It's not uncommon. So
mm,
I remember seeing him, and the reason I noticed him because I never seen anyone over there, just kind of sitting on the street and with a note or whatever. And then I think I saw him a couple times. Really. I work from home, so the only time I'm over there is if I have to take the subway, and I haven't really, I wasn't doing it. I was driving everywhere, and I remember in like close to Christmas or right after Christmas or maybe after New Year's, I was over there and I saw someone had actually, no. My next door emails, I finally got one that I paid attention to because a whole lot of it is just pure nonsense and shit. And someone said, "Hey, did you know this guy that sat outside of the Walgreens? He froze to death." And yeah, and so it was, it was crazy because I was it's not like Beds, whatever. Bed-Stuy, Nostrand and Fulton, where the A train is, that's where you see a lot of unhoused people. If you live in a neighborhood, I lived in a neighborhood, so I recognize a lot of them because I would see them all,
people.
and some you wouldn't see. But in this neighborhood, it was unusual. And so I was like, oh shit, I remember seeing that guy. I saw him like one time. And so the next time, I think a couple of weeks after that, I had to go there. I was taking the subway again, and someone actually put a piece of paper, like something they printed out, they named him. They were talking about his information. They had a candle that was lit and like a mini altar. And there were two people standing there. And I asked them, I said, "Did you know this guy?" And they said, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm really sorry." And I just kind of left it there because I didn't want to,
Yeah.
by asking too many questions. And it's unfortunately, unless you have somebody that is there to quote unquote humanize them, give them a name, give them this person, and that doesn't really happen very often. You kind of tend to learn to walk by. As a woman, when I was in Bed-Stuy, I rarely drove. I took the subway all the time until COVID happened, and having to be super, super careful when I'm coming home, not because I'm scared of them, but it's basically because if somebody is mentally ill and male, they could go off on anybody. I didn't really have a problem. I wasn't concerned about, women that are mentally ill. My concern with mentally ill women is y'all have to deal with, being unhoused, being out in the street, and fellow unhoused men taking advantage of you. So you can't just sleep and shit. And you can't just stay in one place.
Mm-hmm.
That has always been like, I will always give a woman that's hungry or out there asking for money, I will always give her money for that reason.
I personally don't give white unhoused people money. I feel like I don't understand how you fumble for privilege.
Never.
I just feel like there's so much else you could do. I don't understand how the privilege got fumbled like that.
Exactly. Especially like there's this white dude, he's probably still there, who will always be in Bed-Stuy at the Walgreens, right by the A train, in front of it, whatever, cracked out, whatever, begging for money. I was looking at him, I'm like, no, I ain't giving you shit. If you ask me directly, I ain't giving you shit, and you're trying to like make eye contact with me. Well, you shouldn't have gotten yourself to this point. Absolutely not. He young too? What happened? How could you drop the bag when you had the bag the day you were born? Explain that.
That's what I don't be understanding.
I do understand because, again, like people always had this assumption that white people always look out for each other. No, the fuck they don't. They do not. Families be kicking out other family members just because whatever. I mean, they do not have this unity that we swear they have at all.
They don't.
They do not. And I really wish we stopped saying that shit because, listen, I was in junior high, my first junior high, when my mother we lived in Staten Island because my mother worked there, whatever. And I was the only Black kid in class for 2 years, and I was not impressed. And it was a smart class. I was not impressed. Like, I'm smarter than all y'all motherfuckers. Like, I never believed that they, just like Jared has said, and I hate quoting people just to make a point, but Jared basically, made this point over and over and over again about no, they are not. They did not get here where they are through saving and shit. They got here through stealing and colonization, and their ancestors did that shit. Some of them are still doing it, but I guarantee you, those billionaires got some redneck relatives they don't even acknowledge. They got kids they don't even fucking acknowledge. So no. But yeah, and yeah, it's really jarring to see white unhoused people in Bed-Stuy. You should have stayed your ass in fucking Nebraska anyway. None of this shit would happen to you.
Yeah.
Because
Nebraska got a lot of shit going on right now.
Yeah, Nebraska gonna get some shit until I find a better representative for these white folks. Hey, Vermont, but people, whatever.
Let me get a little not the map thingy so I can bring up this story about Spirit Airlines.
Okay. Oh yeah. Since I was gonna, go ahead.
So funny. I lost it trying to listen to you.
Oh no.
Okay, here's a story. I don't know if y'all had heard, but they had told them people they was ceasing operations at 3 a.m. The man was still flying the plane, child. I said, "What?
Mhm.
You're lying."
And they also
Okay,
were like, we will not help you rebook with another airline. Don't go to the
no.
airport.
I said, here's what to know about Spirit Airlines shutting down and what to do if you had a flight. So Spirit Airlines shut down. This guy Chris Dale had paid for a cruise next month with her. Oh, my bad. Girl, this woman Chris Dale had paid to go on a cruise next month with her two daughters. When she woke up shocked Saturday to learn Spirit Airlines, which they were set to fly with for the trip, had shut down without prior notice. You know, something I'm always surprised about is that people think that the businesses are going to give them notice.
No.
Because I
They
have yet
knew.
to see a business give any notice in my 31 years. I have never seen them. This has happened every single time a big business is shut down. So I'm always surprised that like people are like, "Oh my god, they gave us no notice." But okay, whatever.
The only
Um,
ones that will give notice are the ones trying to clear out their inventory. That's it. Not for the workers, but to, hey, we have a sale going on. We can't keep this
yeah.
shit. Come get it.
She tried to get new tickets, but she ain't got her refund from Sears, so she ain't got no money. When she called Spirit's customer service, the line hangs straight up. You can't get anybody. She's upset. She's nervous because she already paid the money to go on the cruise. Girl, go challenge that shit on your card. What
Credit
is it, like
card.
your bank card, your
Yeah.
credit card, whatever? Go challenge that shit and get your money back.
Mhm.
But she's one of thousands of frustrated Spirit customers who have been forced to change travel plans or were left stranded. I know somebody who was in Miami on a girls trip, and they said, "Is this the Miami curse coming to coming to fruition?" Because they flew there, so they had to fly back, and now they just stuck in Miami. I said, "That's crazy." Wow.
Now, I don't know if this helps because I haven't had to deal with it, but I always get travel and trip insurance. It may not have made a difference in this case. I don't know. There's a separate company that provides the insurance, so maybe. But yeah, Spirit knew. Spirit knew for this. Matter of fact, we were reading
Mhm.
articles about how Spirit and JetBlue were trying to merge or some shit like that. And for some reason Trump shot that down. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to mergers except that they shouldn't happen, in my opinion, because it creates a monopoly. But yeah. Another way that it's going to affect other airlines is that they're going to make way more money. They may honor some of the money that Spirit travelers spent. They're not going to honor all of it. So they're going
So
to
they
make
need the money?
hmm?
Is it because they need the money?
No, none of them need the money. They're billionaire owners
Well,
and making more of it, but they it's the PR of it all. That's it. It's just a PR of it all. So they, Delta may say, okay, well, we're going to honor whatever, blah, blah, blah of it, but you're going to still have to pay something because they're,
that's
also,
fucked up.
it is fucked up. It really is. And as for the workers, that's more fucked up because the pilot obviously didn't know the shit was going to happen, so people, if the pilot didn't know, the customer service didn't know, all the other staff that work for
Yeah,
Spirit
his
didn't.
memory started flooding to him all in the same moment. I said, "Damn, you really going through it, huh?"
Exactly.
Not you love your job. It's so crazy because I've never flown Spirit.
Ever. And see, that's why Tanya should be here, because Tanya got a Spirit story. And she
Really?
was, yes, she does. And she was like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, if somebody gave me a Spirit ticket, I'm most likely not going to use it. And what nobody did talk about was, yeah, Spirit is cheap until you have to add those fees on, and then
Yeah.
you spend as much as a regular airline. If you
Well,
again,
when I had looked at the like I looked on their thing before because I was interested. I was intrigued on how like what their model was or whatever. And when you buy like the larger seat or whatever that comes with free snacks, sorry, that comes with like free snacks and Wi-Fi and stuff. You don't need the extra fees, and it was maybe like $30 more.
I didn't even know
But
that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
it was like
option.
it was like their exclusive, like first class, like type seats. So, like it was at the front. It was a larger seat. Like you had more space. You got free snacks. You got free Wi-Fi. But I still was like, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I got there on JetBlue without having to fly first class. It's like I pay a
I
little bit.
love
I love
JetBlue.
JetBlue.
I
Yeah.
flew JetBlue to go to Paris and to go to London. I flew from here to Paris, and then I flew from London back here, and it was great both times. It was
Yeah.
so comfortable.
Yeah. I love JetBlue. And I haven't flown JetBlue Mint, which is their first class where people are laying flat and stuff like that. But I haven't had to fly that long. Like for me, it's like I have to fly hours to do that. But I've been fine. So yeah. I will
Yeah,
never fly
I don't
United.
want to do that. Okay, let's go back to the story.
Yes.
It says she's one of thousands of frustrated customers. The airline ceased operations globally, marking the first time in 25 years. And major U.S. airline. They're a major U.S. airline? Okay,
I mean,
has gone out of business due to financial trouble. The collapse comes as the company had plunged into its second bankruptcy after struggling for years and failed to secure a last-minute rescue deal with the Trump administration. The ripple effects of the pioneering budget airline that reshaped low-cost travel coming to an end after 34 years. They were in operation for 34 years?
Yeah. Yep.
How come I have never heard of these people?
Really? I heard of them for a very long
I
time.
had never heard of them until like high school.
Okay. I'm a little
But they've been operating longer than I've been alive.
I'm been a little bit more alive than you have, so I have heard of it. But yeah. And they just weren't I think social media helps blow them up because everybody's talking about, oh shit, I flew Spirit. And they didn't really have good experiences with Spirit, and a lot of people talking about it. And that's probably how Spirit came to be part of the language of don't fly this shit, and some people if you have to go see your family in Florida from New York and you don't have to take anything except the clothes in your bag because you got some stuff over there, you're going to buy some stuff. Perfect. If you have to do it all the time and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, that's great. I mean, you have to find a different way now, but Frontier still exists. I don't know. So yeah,
True.
it served.
I've never flown Frontier though.
I only flew Frontier once, and it was not because, hey, let me take Frontier. I was going to a ski resort, and so we flew into South Bend.
You went to a ski resort? You got money.
I had a different life. So yeah, I used to ski all the time. And so we go on ski trips. It was a black ski club that's international. I'm not going there. But we used to go.
You were in an international black ski club?
Black ski club. No white folks included. Yes. National Brotherhood of Skiers. Look it up. But yeah, so we flew a major airline into Denver, but then you have to take like a smaller, like Eagle or Frontier. We call them puddle jumpers, but I think Eagle was tiny.
Yeah, the puddle jumper things.
So Frontier, I actually took going between Denver and it was Snowmass, I believe. And coming back, that was back in, I think, 07 or 08 was the one time I took Frontier. And at that time, that was when they were starting to charging for an extra bag. And back then, your ski bag that held your skis, you weren't charged for that. If you had an extra suitcase, you were. So people started stuffing stuff in their ski bags, like clothes and stuff, because they knew it was going to be free. They got wind of that and they were like, okay, now we're going to start weighing your ski bags.
Oh my God.
Your ski bag weighed more than X amount of pounds. And I remember having to empty shit out of my ski bag because I had that shit stuffed. So yeah, that's why I remember, Frontier. But besides, going very, very short distance, like an hour in the air, I would have never taken Frontier if that was not my only option at the time. But I know people, like somebody was telling me they have some deal where you can, pay some price and get like, I guess it includes.
You can pay like $200 and get like unlimited flights. And then
Right.
this girl, because I was looking at to see if it was really worth it. To me, it's not worth it for me because I don't think I would have been comfortable on the planes. Like their planes look really uncomfortable, and you would have to like just have more space. And I wasn't like interested in that. And like you don't even get like free snacks and stuff. Like they got oatmeal that you can buy.
Oh,
Why would I want to buy oatmeal when I can get free snacks on Southwest? It's too much capitalism for me. Okay, let me finish this last part about the breakdown about what's happened. All of its bright yellow flights were canceled. Customer service was halted, and travelers who were set to fly were told not to come to the airport. So here's everything you need to know. The budget carrier filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy twice in the last 2 years, most recently in August, but the airline's financial problems stem back to the COVID-19 pandemic. It hasn't been profitable since then and said repeatedly in recent years there was substantial doubt over its ability to continue flying. While the company said in February it had reached a deal with creditors to emerge from its latest bankruptcy and stay in operation, the war in Iran started just 3 days later, causing the cost of jet fuel to soar and as well as airfares. After labor, jet fuel is the second biggest cost for airlines. Larger airlines have been able to mitigate the impact by increasing some fees and fares and cutting flights, but business for smaller airlines like Spirit suffers when they increase their ultra low fares intended to attract customers. I mean, I agree because this thing that's happening with Southwest right now, they make all them changes and people is not fucking with them no more because I'm finna use the rest of my points and never fly Southwest again. They got me fucked up. Okay, I'm back. With a glimmer of hope for Spirit's future came from an airline attorney who told a bankruptcy court. Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I heard a beep like my internet went out.
I can hear you.
Okay. It would have given the government, an airline attorney who told a bankruptcy court last week that it was in very advanced discussions with the Trump administration on a rescue package. A key group of creditors rejected their plan, according to a source familiar with the negotiations. Now, I do have a tea on this. So they offered them like $5 billion. And for the $5 billion, they would own 90% of Spirit Airlines. And they would require them to turn half of their fleet into military vehicles because the Trump admin needs more military vehicles because all their shit got shot down in Iran because they kept doing that bullshit. And now they need new planes. But because there's rare minerals required to build the airplanes, they don't have access to those rare minerals because don't nobody fuck with them. So now they're trying to get Spirit to let them use their planes. And I was like, oh, baby, that's not going to work. So they rejected that deal. And when they rejected that deal, then that's when they like had to shut down.
Yes. Yeah. I saw I have an article from the Gothamist that talks about how it affected New York City. And not only are people basically asked out of flights in LaGuardia at LaGuardia Airport.
Are they not giving money back?
No. From who? From who? That's the thing. They're not getting their money back. Spirit is not refunding them their money.
They can't dispute it with the bank?
I hope so. I hope so.
Baby, they would have sent me over the edge. I get why the lady mad about that cruise.
Thank you. And if you're trying to get home, it's one thing like, okay, I can't go now or whatever, but I'm at home. If you're halfway, around on the other side of the country and you're trying to get back, they're not getting money back. It's the problem.
My friend, she just did Miami. She ain't nowhere international.
Exactly. So and so they not only are people like asked out of money and having to figure out, what I'm going to do. Spirit canceled 34 flights for Saturday in and out of Newark Liberty International Airport and 18 at LaGuardia, where it was the sole operator at Terminal A. They had an entire terminal. And so that means that LaGuardia is going to lose money. Somebody's going to have to, pick up all the money that LaGuardia lost, even though LaGuardia could afford to lose money. And I ain't never flying out LaGuardia. But the shutdown means the region and the nation loses one of its cheapest flying options. That part too. Even though I would never fly Spirit, I do understand that other people have no options. I think that even though, I can afford to fly, I wouldn't spend that much money. I'm cheap as hell.
I'm cheap as hell too. And I feel like people be assuming because I travel a lot that I
Thank
have
you.
money. I said, I
No.
feel like y'all don't understand that I'm not paying for these flights. And I'm not paying for these hotels. I'm finessing.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I
And
haven't paid for a lot of this shit in a
when you get
minute.
paid, they're not going to be flying you first class. They'd be flying you coach, most likely. You
Yeah,
know?
but I do be paying like that $50, $60 to upgrade to first class.
Oh, yeah, that's
Now
not bad.
that is my one travel tip. If you
I
going
managed-
like if you're going somewhere like from a small city, like if you're going from Memphis to like a Knoxville or like local areas like a Birmingham or something like that, you could pay like $50 and upgrade to first class.
Yeah.
That's what I be doing, so I can have more leg room because I'm tall and them Delta coach seats ain't it. Oh, I love
Listen,
this song, Lucio. Just another man.
I love that. I love it. You know, and even though I'm not tall by any long, well, I feel tall.
My hair on does not pay. I am just sought after. You're a hater.
No, but for me,
Good
I
morning, Shan.
have bad neck problems, so comfort is And I'm about to go get some rotator cuff surgery.
Brittany,
so
this is not Memphis to Knoxville is not that short of a flight. Actually, it's like a little over an hour still. That's clear across the state. It's a 6-hour drive, so it's like almost a 2-hour flight.
Listen, I flew first class back and forth to Charlotte, and it was like $50 extra. It was less than $200. It was crazy. Might have been time of the year, but I got a damn good deal. Robin Drake. That's an interesting question. Senzabel, did you know the Force and V's when you were at Staten Island? Yes. However, they were a couple of years older than me. I was in grade school in Staten Island, PS 44, when TC, the lead singer, and probably a couple of the others used to perform at the talent show that we had every year. And that's the first time I heard him. I dated Mercury's brother, almost dated his other brother, but I was a different girl back then. Whatever. They're both just too cute. And yeah, so I knew Mercury better, even though he's older. So it was just like, hi, that sort of thing. TC, I knew by face. I never talked to him, but we all live in the projects. We all live in the same neighborhood. And I knew Mercury's whole family. I knew his mama. They had a bunch of siblings. I knew his siblings. Their sister Marshall went to grade school with me. I think she was a year, either my same year or a year younger. So yeah, I knew Mercury's family, the Nelson family more. Yeah. Very, very sad when the vast majority of the group got sick and passed away. So yeah, I was very super, super happy when they got that deal because they were so talented. So talented. So yeah. But let's see. Love is a house and you had the key. I did not. I had, like you for a friend is a house. I don't know.
Funny. Okay, I do have this video I want to bring up about the Spirit Airlines thing though, because I do think it's interesting, and I too love communism, so I feel like we should talk about it. Let me share my screen. Hold on.
Shown me is that
I love that guy.
This Spirit Airlines pledge thing has shown me is that people don't have a problem with communism as long as you don't call it communism. Because if they are successful with this is communism. The people being able to own the means of production, being able to own those means, and it works for them. They make the profit off of their labor and their production. That's what that is. This is communism. It also shows that if people were able to deal with the temporary discomfort, we could have a revolution. But this country is so incredibly has pushed individualism so hard that no one can see past the nose on their own face to realize that they would be fighting for the younger generation's future, not theirs. That's what everybody gets caught up on. What about me, me, me? I want to see the fruits of my labor right here and right now. They're cool with this because they'll see the fruits of their labor in this lifetime. They're not cool with fighting for a revolution because you may not live to tell the tale. You may not live to see what happens. Have a day. One of the main things that this...
So actually, I'm gonna go pledge some money before it gets too high. But I don't know if y'all seen this, but this guy made a video on TikTok and was like, "Hey, we could just raise the money and buy Spirit Airlines." And I was like, "Okay." So he makes his website for people to pledge money. So they've been pledging money right now. When that guy made that video, it was at like 22 something. Right now, it's at a little bit more than that. Let me go to the Spirit 2.0 site. Hold on, I'm gonna put it up on here. And everybody's like so gung-ho about it, like, oh yeah, we should do that. And I just think it's so interesting because y'all don't really believe in communism for real, but you don't realize that it's communism.
Right. Yeah.
But I do believe in what the guy is saying. It's always a white man, but I do believe in what the guy is saying in that, like, it's really important that we have Spirit Airlines because that was the cheap way for people to fly, and we should not be limiting people's ability to fly. And so, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, oh, dirty, it's long, horizontal, across. So whenever you go anywhere, you have to go across, which is a lot. Okay, I found the website. Let me pull it up. Yeah, let me go ahead and play some real quick. I can put $5 on it. Okay, so right now they're at 88. Oh, site overloaded again. Pledges paused.
Okay. It got way more since that video. Since that.
Yeah, way more. Your response crashed your site. The movement grew so fast it overwhelmed our servers. We are upgrading infrastructure right now. You act with full-fledged functionality within 24 to 48 hours. Y'all need to hurry this shit on up. I'm trying to pledge my little money too. Hell.
Listen, what? Put me in, okay?
Yeah, all I gotta do is pledge $45. I'll pledge 50 right now. I got a hot 50 on it. That's it. That's all I got to do. I ain't got more than that. I just paid my mortgage. So all I got is a hot 50. But I'll put a hot 50 on that shit. What do y'all think in the chat? Let me look at the comments. Hold on.
I see some comments.
I'm trying to pull it up. Somebody said, A-Rob said he gonna take that money and start a pedicab company.
Listen, that would be the most practical because no one's thinking about you could buy Spirit and then own Spirit, but you got to have staff. You got to have money for staff. You have money for operations. You have money for planes, all that shit, like maintenance. So, it's not just flying the air.
I think that it's a start. This could be the effort that brings people to the comfort level with collective action. Yeah. Because it wasn't Black people getting killed by the police. So, hey, maybe it's Spirit Airlines.
And something, it's an interesting thing, and it's a very good point. GoFundMe's, from what I have seen, that's still basically vilified. So you could raise all this money for a company, you raise all this money for a person that obviously needs it, then that's like, are you begging for money? Or are you begging for this person?
Yeah.
When the people are more important than the business.
First of all, 0PE said Nashville to Memphis about 2 hours in driving. You're lying. I don't know why you're lying to the internet. Like 3.5 hours. Please stop lying to people. I can get there in 3 when I'm speeding. It's definitely not no 2. I don't know if you're doing 98 the whole way or what, but it ain't no 2.
Oh, goodness.
And then Latif said, I got 5 on it. Wait, what we talking about? You can't pay no attention.
Oh my goodness.
And then It's Art with Words said, honestly, if you just make trains more affordable, or we build a higher speed rail, that feels like a better course of action. They're not gonna do that though. They've been trying to get trains here in the South, especially for
Yes.
forever. Like they literally have been pushing. The closest we got is when Pete Buttigieg was the transportation secretary, and he got them to do the studies and go ahead and start building the rails they needed. Like that was the closest we ever got. I don't think it'll ever get any closer. I don't think they don't want movement of people. They don't
No.
want Black people to be able to move around. They don't want us to be able to go explore things, to know that there's different shit out there. Like they don't want that, which is why the travel stuff is so hard. Like I think I told this story one time before, but like one of my first serious boyfriends had never left the neighborhood that he lived in, like ever. And most of the people in Memphis haven't left their neighborhood. The people in
Listen,
Memphis have been to Nashville.
there are people in New York City that have not left their individual neighborhood. Like they live there, they work there if they have a job. Listen, upstate, there are a lot of white folks upstate that ain't never left their small town at all. So it's a lot of people. But the one I got into a rabbit hole, this was years ago, where people don't realize that this country could have been a country that relied on train travel and everything, but then automobiles were invented, and to get people to buy more cars, they invested in roads. And so now you have like the automakers lobby who are making sure that you spend more money driving than you do commuting in any other way. And even like New York City, that like you can live in New York City without having a car. I know way too many people that have never had a car. Some of them have never had a driver's license and can get around just fine. Outside of New York City, like DC, maybe you can do that, but the metro stops at midnight. You know, maybe you can do it in Oakland, but all the train systems and bus systems are all completely separate. It's not one, authority. So those places have made cars mandatory. This could have happened ages ago, but that was stopped. I remember being in Japan, and we took a bus from Tokyo to this place, Nagano, again, ski trip. And
I'm thinking about it. You going on ski trips left and right.
Not anymore. It's been a long time. And it took 5 hours to get from Tokyo to Nagano. We took a bullet train back to Tokyo from Nagano, and it was like an hour and a half. Felt nothing. It wasn't bumpy. It was smooth. It was fast. It was amazing. Another thing is that the current railroad system probably isn't equipped to handle high-speed rail, number one. And number two, their own like different parts of the rail system, like Amtrak, doesn't even own most of the tracks that Amtrak rides over. If you're going from New York City to Albany, the train tracks are owned, part of them are owned by a company, I think CRX or CSX or whatever. And
CSX, I know what you're talking about.
And if the freight train is in front of or is crossing the Amtrak train has to defer to that. I love train travel. I went to Florida one time on an Amtrak, won't do it again because that was just boring as hell. But again, it's slow because they have to defer to the owners of those tracks. So if it were one company that owned all those tracks, yeah, it might be more possible, but they'd have to negotiate contracts with all of those. Like just, this country is just too messy to even consider that because they have to fight all the lobbyists that are trying to prevent that from happening. So yeah. And another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, this actually also happening in New York City, or not even New York City, New York State, due to remote workers. Albany, which the property was never going to go up. COVID happened, more people started working remotely. And so a lot of people that lived in New York City were able to move anywhere they wanted to. Why they want to go to Albany is my guess, but whatever. And ended up upstate, driving the property values higher, because even though you may make a modest income upstate, that modest income could get you way more if you went to Hudson or Albany or whatever. Now, that's not the case anymore because people have done it already, and it's already driven up the real estate value. So people that are natives can't afford to buy a house in their own towns.
But I mean, that's most places. I know
Yeah.
that y'all was talking about that earlier in the chat. I think that the South and the North are different in that the prices are higher in the North. Because I mean, I lived in DC and I definitely had to get a house like in Gaithersburg. I wasn't living in
Oh yeah.
actual DC because the housing was way too expensive.
Yeah.
But like here in the South, like especially in Memphis and like Alabama and Mississippi, there aren't enough houses. There just really aren't enough. It's art with words. I didn't want to put this one up. He said it's absurd that to take a train to get somewhere costs the same, if not more, than a flight, and it takes longer to get there. What train y'all taking that costs more? It don't cost more for me.
Amtrak costs way more money.
Really?
Yes, because I was going to. My mother loves Amtrak.
Y'all doing the sleeper rooms, or you just doing a regular seat?
No, this is not even for the sleeper room. The sleeper room is outrageous. Outrageous.
No, maybe it's cheap in the South because I used to get on the train all the time to go up to Chicago or down to New Orleans, and the ticket was like $40-$50.
Oh hell no, ever no. It's
I
cost.
literally I just took that train like last year. It's like $40-$50.
Yeah, no.
Let me go look at the Amtrak site. What y'all talking about? Girl, why is it so expensive?
My mother does not like flying. I know a whole lot about Amtrak because she will take a long ass flight down to North Carolina to visit her best friend. It is more expensive than flying.
That's
a lot.
So wild.
Even coach on the train. Forget about the rooms. The rooms are like 3 times as more. Is more expensive.
When I was visiting my little sister, we took a train from Paris to London, and it was $28.
That's totally different. Totally different. Totally different.
But that was also me getting an upgraded seat too. Yeah. I didn't get this.
I'm pretty sure the infrastructure, the politics, all that stuff is very different in Europe. Europe is very small. So you can get a puddle jumper for like $20 to go from one country to the other. You know, it's a very small country. They blow it up on the maps to make it look bigger. It's really not big. So you can go country hopping, and people do it frequently. And it's just cheaper because you're going shorter distances. And also, they probably invest more in their train systems than, yeah. All of it's different.
Oh my God, I'm looking it up. They done doubled, but they ain't tripled.
It is ridiculous. That's why
what did this happen?
Last year, I was going to take a trip from here to Charlotte to go visit my sister. And actually, it was Charlotte to Rock Hill. My sister's in Rock Hill. My niece is in Charlotte. They're right next to each other. And again, for a first class flight, it was under $400 round trip. For Amtrak, it was like $400 one way. And this was like an off peak. It is
okay. Yeah, maybe it's just the flight the train to New Orleans or Chicago, because I just looked it up and it's $69.
Yeah, and it's a longer trip. If I'm going to New Orleans and you're going to New Orleans, of course it's going to be cheaper for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I'm going to Chicago,
even when I'm going, I think it's still. How long does it take? It's still an 8-hour train.
And also, you have to take
New York.
You have to take into consideration flying out of New York City. Those trains are going to be packed with people, so the higher demand is going to cost more money. I have rarely seen an Amtrak leaving New York City that wasn't full of people. Every single seat, But if you're going to a small town, my mother goes to Rocky Mount, which is the Amtrak that's closest to Seaboard, North Carolina. And it's
can't have shit, boy. I thought the trains were shit.
I wish I could pay $50 to go to New Orleans. I'd be down there all the damn time. And so would everybody else.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the comments. Ashley Knuckles said she had a hot 20 earlier when we were talking about the Spirit Airlines shit. This is so wild. I did not know the train was expensive like that.
Now, for me to go to Albany, which is 2.5 hours north, 3 in crazy traffic, now there are times I can find a cheaper ticket, but I have to keep, refreshing whatever. But generally it's $98 round trip to go to Albany, and that's 2.5. Now one way. What am I talking about? One way, $98. I have found it for $38, but it's certain times of the day you have to keep looking for it. You'll get a $38 deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the regular is $98. Plus, a lot of legislators going to Albany, they will take Amtrak during session because they're up in Albany for a few days. They go back home for the weekends, and they don't have like a permanent apartment, so they'll be up there staying in hotels or whatever and then going back home. So, Amtrak, especially if you're in New York City and you're traveling up there, first of all, to go to the Moynihan station in Manhattan, which is like the major to the central part of New York, New York State, you have to go into New York City. Good luck finding a place to park, and if you do, you're going to pay a shitload of money every single day. I would never do that, and there's no reason to. Albany, you need a car. So some people will drive, some legislators will drive to Albany. Some people was like, once they're up there, I don't want to have to do shit. So why am I, paying for a car? But yeah, Amtrak is expensive. Really are. And yeah, everything should be cheaper and free, but yay, capitalism, billionaires must make their dough. And the thing about people talking about how everybody wants stuff for me. I remember being taught in elementary school that it is natural for humans to be individualistic. They start that, and it's universal. No, that's Western.
They teaching me that in elementary school. What was they teaching y'all?
That's what I learned. And
they said that we should be kind to our neighbors, and that we should consider.
Oh yeah, we were taught that too, but we were taught a whole bunch of opposite shit.
They didn't teach us They did teach us to be respectful and respect the people.
That was the early grades.
Understanding how to make friends. What does that look like?
That was like first and second grade. After that, you're on your own. But no. And I got older and learned like, no, this is not universal. This is Western European thinking, philosophy, all that shit. That's them. And to justify their shit, they say, oh, it's universal. We all blah, blah, blah. No. And we also were once, I forgot.
Not me finding out in real time that Amtrak is expensive. Yeah, I did not know.
Well, I've taken it.
Amtrak does cost more depending on where you're going. I actually never thought about it, but if I was taking an 8-hour train trip versus taking like a 28-hour train trip, it probably would be more expensive. But I would never do no stupid shit like that. Not saying y'all stupid for doing that, but I know I would never do.
And here's the thing: a lot of people hate flying, like my mother. My mother will fly, but that's like her very last option. She's germaphobe. She been one. She's gonna be one forever. So after COVID, she was like, I ain't going nowhere. So, her best friends in North Carolina, they got to spend time together. They're too old to be driving, even though, never mind.
John said, I remember being taught individualism too. Yeah. They was preparing y'all. They said they need the Gen Zers and the boomers to be individualistic.
But also, when I was growing up, it was a whole like Red Scare and all this shit and whatever. But no, we're taught, and even if those weren't the words that were being used, you were taught that it was, man versus nature instead of man in conjunction with nature. We were taught all that shit.
That's wild.
And then, I went to Brooklyn Tech, and so of course, you're like, you get to.
What does man versus nature even mean?
It's how Europeans think. Now, think about this. They believe that nature is a force against them, and if you read, like just like regular, like popular books or whatever. Or just watch, just pay attention. That's basically their philosophy, their ethos. And when they got to, Asia or Africa, they were just like, wow, these people are working together. What the fuck is wrong with them? Women are able to do what the hell? And think about it. You live in a cold area where resources are scarce. You fighting for every damn thing. Okay. You ain't trying, like, no, I ain't sharing shit. When sharing might have helped. But we over here in other non-white countries, like with abundance, but no, that's basically their.
I'm right back. My allergies is trying to take me out.
Yes, I feel the same thing. I just changed. I'm doing like the Flonase, and it seems to be working. But let's see, what do y'all have to? Okay, I manifesto. I knew what it meant when I used to have to shovel snow. Well, some of us still do. Fortunately, that season is kind of sort of over almost. So I'm very happy I don't have to, especially I'm making my I fucked my shoulder up. Those 2 big snowstorms we had in New York. Okay. It was no fun. So yeah, I love New York, so I just have to deal with that shit. Let's see. Steven said, "Oh yeah, where'd you go?" I watched that Nature Boy doc from it being mentioned on TRMS, and now I am damaged. I knew about Nature Boy, and I haven't watched the doc yet, so I understand. I would be too. I'm gonna watch it though. I'm kind of interested. Yeah. Yay, Flonase, Sweary Fairy. That's what I'm taking. I'm taking the prescription strength, which is stronger, because the over the counter stuff was doing nothing. It was laughing at my my allergies were laughing at them.
They said that Nature Boy only got caught because a white lady tried to join.
Okay.
And she had snitched.
Okay, yeah, I can see that happening, And why would never mind.
Robin said all he learned in school was Humpty Dumpty.
If only. If only. So yeah, but no, and yes, Dre, it says individualism by definition needs a community to make an individual. To be selfish, though, that takes no effort and takes the want for full spectrum dominance. Absolutely. And don't tell, white folks that or whatever, but no. Don't add logic into this argument, okay? But no, this is basically, and then
ZZ Lion Dad, thank you for the $5.
Hey, what's going on? It's 9:21 and we haven't passed the plate around.
It's smart. We should do that. Let me read his thing and then we can pass the plate again. ZZ Lion Dad said none of these private companies own the infrastructure and the maintenance of the building. It's maintained and operated by the state or federal government. In
New York, it's they're privately owned. New York City.
Yeah, true.
New York City, they're privately owned. Upstate New York, the main employers of upstate in Albany are the legislature, local, state, and local, county, whatever, state government, local city, state government, universities, and prisons. And the main private sector are like retail stores and small businesses, but the bigger employers are those big industries.
Yeah. And thank you so much for the $5, ZZ Lion Dad. If you want to also contribute to the genius that is me and Zenzi and sometimes Tandi when she shows up, then you can also send us a super chat right now. And it can be any amount. We're not picky. We just want the money.
Seriously.
Also, shout out to the 151 people watching us right now.
Yes. Smash the like button, please.
Follow us, click the little notification thing. We do the Monday remix show, and then I also do the remix show on Fridays. It's currently 8:22 a.m. Central because it's the real time zone that matters, and 9:22 Eastern. And y'all have us for like 40 more minutes, but I got a hard stop at 9, so don't ask no extra questions. I got to go.
I start my job right after this, so I'm already at work. I have to start.
My allergy said I have to leave.
So, Yep. So I just started taking my extra strength Flonase 2 days ago. So
somebody said one of the teachers that taught you individualism white.
Of course they were. Of course they were. Now I will say that even in the 70s and 80s in New York City, I was especially like, preschool, which whatever. All my preschool teachers were white, were black. I went to 9 different schools before college, which we traveled a lot. Like we moved around like for my mother. We could stay close to her job. And I've always had black teachers. I may never have all black teachers, but I've always had black teachers. And I went to school in North Carolina for 2 years where all my teachers except one were black and the principal was black. But the teachers that taught me individualism, it was social studies. Yes, absolutely. It was social studies. I remember those classes. I remember when I was the only black kid in junior high in Staten Island at a school named Rocco Laurie. And if anyone looks up Rocco Laurie, he was one of the cops that was involved. Yes, please look it up. And depending on which website you find,
Rocco.
ROCCO LAURIE.
Okay. NYPD.
Yep. Now,
Ooh, it said they were assassinated by members of the Black Liberation Party.
now, allegedly, and that was the shootout that Asada and Sundiata Akoli and Asada's husband Zaid Shakur may have been present at.
May have. We have no justification. We have no proof.
Yeah, none at all. So yeah, it was very ironic that, and I remember the assistant principal of that school was like his partner. I didn't know any of this in junior high, and even though my mother was active, I don't think she knew the name of the cop either, but she probably wouldn't have, like, whatever. Anyway, so yeah. And I remember at that school where I was the only Black kid in those classes, there was an entire couple of months where we learned about the Holocaust and nothing but the Holocaust. And my mother was like, "Oh, they didn't teach you anything about slavery?" I'm like, "No,
not at all."
I mean, I already knew about it from, other things and my mom. But yeah, that particular class, oh my God, it was just, that was it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. Happy, we were going to bring somebody in to talk about it. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah. So, but no, I learned about that. Individualism. And when you think about it, I don't know what law passed, but there was something, it must have been a legislative change that allowed for a lot of basically movement and flight and all this other stuff. And so people not being able to afford where they lived or where they grew up or where their parents lived and having to move away for financial reasons, so they could like get a job where they could pay, and their own expenses. And also it was vilified. Living at home as an adult was vilified, even though most, and some white people like Italians and shit, they have multi-generational families as a rule. That was looked down upon. It became a cultural thing.
Yeah. I think I would be totally fine with a multi-generational family if I had a separate room that had noise cancellation sound and people could not come in. Yeah. I think that like Black folks don't be respecting boundaries was too much for me.
Yeah. Now my multi-generational was the block that we lived on, because once my mother moved out of my grandparents' house, that was it. She's like, never coming back. But we lived directly across the street from them. And my mother was, don't be just walking up in here without knocking or whatever. So I had the benefit of, being able to be around. And then my other set of grandparents lived 4 blocks away. And so I was always
not far.
And also the block that I lived on, all of them, like, there were a lot of grandparents. So it was a lot of kids there, that I know to this day, even though we don't live there anymore. And, our grandparents have all passed away. And then it's just having access. So you no longer have access to grandparents, aunts, and uncles. So you have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for daycare and babysitting when you didn't have to do that. Everything
and the aunts and uncles act like they don't know what the fuck they role is.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. I'm a proud auntie. Bring your kid here. All right.
Why y'all act like y'all don't want to be around the children?
Exactly. Because that was basically built into the culture too. I don't want kids of my own. I love me some kids. I love me babies, love them. Okay. So I'm always around as much as I can be. And I'm in fucking, no man's land. I love being around kids. I love,
I don't, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't, but yeah, I love it.
I'm done with them. But no, just being around and then having for me, it's like my late sister who raised her kids in Baltimore. I didn't get to see them grow up. That's a whole nother thing. My sister was, whatever. And so seeing them as an adult and missing them as kids, I felt like I missed out on a lot of things, and that to me is important because that's how my family was growing up. Like we all were together, cousins, aunts, uncles, and everything. We all go down south together to visit, my great grandmother and my great great grandmother, and we all like have food and all this other stuff, and we be cooking. Like we don't do that as much now. We personally don't do it because North Carolina, the town that we were from, didn't even have like a street light. It may have had one stop sign, and so also that town. That town would get just completely obliterated by hurricanes every decade or whatever. It was really horrible. And people would have to evacuate because it was right like on the Sound in North Carolina, right by the water. It was very marshy, very swampy. And so very, very prone to flooding. So, and there was that town had one school, one elementary school, K-12, and one high school that you had to, take the bus to. And that was the industry. They had one supermarket, one pharmacy, and then sometime I think in the 80s or 90s, they built a prison. And that was a way to employ people. But besides that, if you didn't want to work, if you want to be a teacher and you didn't want to be a correctional officer, you go to Raleigh or Charlotte, which was far. Yeah. So we don't go down there because our family isn't down there. Like we used to go back for reunions. We're trying to do that again, but the older people have passed on and the younger ones moved away. So yeah, we don't do that like we used to, and I miss that. My family, again, like we spread out. I'm still in New York because I don't live no place else because I tried going to other places and I can't afford DC and I can't afford Oakland. Love those two areas, can't afford it. New Orleans, love it. It's sinking, and and I also don't think
I would want to live anywhere other than the South. Like I know people talk about, they talk a lot of shit about the South, but it's affordable. And if you make okay money, you can like actually save up. Like I was actually able to save up to buy the house that I live in because I live in a very cheap place, and I am not willing to sacrifice that because the times that I was living in, I lived in DC, I lived in New Orleans, I lived in Atlanta, I lived in DC again, and I lived in Maryland. And the North is just very, very expensive. Like it's just insanely expensive. I don't want to live there.
And, there are my requirements. I could live in another town outside New York City, but I need to be around lots of Black folks. I need that. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
That's what I prefer. And my family in the South, my sister is in Rock Hill, which is right outside of Charlotte. Charlotte is already like mostly New Yorkers, a lot of people from the North. And Rock Hill apparently is blowing up. And I'm like, damn,
really?
Yeah, it's blowing up because Charlotte is way too expensive. Rock Hill is still affordable. And so they're doing a lot of developing and also it should take maybe 20 minutes to get from Charlotte to Rock Hill. It's taking like 45, depending on the time of day, because the traffic is so outrageous, so yeah. Charlotte is Atlanta Junior. That's true.
I was going to say, A-Rob said Charlotte is Atlanta Junior. That's so funny because I feel like Charlotte is Atlanta Junior too. Yeah. Like when I said, this is so Black. I really like it here. But it felt expensive. And I was visiting one of my friends who lives there, and she be doing expensive shit anyways. We had went to Restoration Hardware because I had been there before, so I knew the food was fine. And I said, I can only do this once a year. Restoration Hardware is so goddamn expensive, but the food's so goddamn good.
They don't have food at the one in New York. Wait a minute.
Yes, they do.
They do?
It's a restaurant in there. You don't know what's in there.
Okay, that must be new because it's been a long time. So I gotta go.
For folks who've never heard of Restoration Hardware, it's a furniture store. It's like a custom furniture store. It's a custom furniture store, but they have a very like small menu because one time they were like, well, we should probably have like some food and a little bar in here for folks who are spending all this time in Restoration Hardware because they're getting their furniture made. So it's a long process. It takes hours. So they add this little restaurant, and then the restaurant goes viral. So no one's buying the furniture anymore, really, but they do go there for the food. And I've been to the Restoration Hardware in Charlotte. I went to one in Paris, and I went to one in New York, and they all were fine. It's expensive though. I mean, I
haven't been to Restoration Hardware in a couple of decades. I used to work up the street from them when I was working.
Oh, so they probably didn't have a restaurant when you was working. The restaurant new. The restaurant, like it just happened in like the last like 10 years. And no, I don't, Brittany. I'm doing this once a year. This is just like a spur of the moment Zero PE said, I envy you and Amber for that, Brittany. What you envy us for?
You said that she doesn't feel at home. Yeah, the North doesn't feel like home to me, sadly. I was born
It
and raised.
doesn't feel like home to me either. Because the people be rude as hell for no reason. I don't like that.
No, ma'am. Depending on where you go, number one, it's the transplants that are rude. Number two, for example, Wall Street. From like 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. or whatever, it's a lot of tourists because you got big bull statue is there, Wall Street is there, whatever. I used to work 2 blocks away from Wall Street. I'm just trying to go to lunch. I'm just trying to get to work. Why are there so many people just standing in the middle of the street or walking side by side? Like, why? So when I'm just trying to live my life and people coming and visiting are treating us like we're scenery. Like we're part of the, experience. Like, no, I live here. I'm just trying to go to work. So, but the people that are super rude are the people that are not from here and came here and felt like, okay, I got to fit in. No, you don't. That's not how you do it. You ask a native person, we're always going to give you the right directions. We're always going to help you out. You just can't tell.
I asked people when I've been there, like for directions and stuff, and it wasn't bad. Yeah. Brittany said, I have bougie taste. It's so funny to me because I only know about Restoration Hardware from my other bougie friend that lives in Charlotte. She was one that suggested we go there, and I had never been. I was like, yeah, sure. But I can't do it a lot because I spent like $150. But it was good. I ain't gonna hold you. It was good. It's Monty not knowing there was a restaurant in that bitch. It's a restaurant in there, y'all. But I'm telling you right now, it's all bougie shit. So like they got these what's that thing called? They got the lobster
rolls or lobster
rolls. They have lobster rolls, but the lobster rolls have caviar on them. But the caviar is a different type of caviar that is not as salty.
Yeah.
So I liked it. And my friend, the one I'm talking about who lives in Charlotte, she the bougie friend. So she was like, let's go there and do caviar bumps. So she was buying caviar for us to do caviar bumps. Not me. I'm not buying the caviar for the caviar bumps. Okay. Just so y'all know. And then they have this really good, the lobster roll was really good. They're small. They're little bitty mini lobster rolls. Yeah. And then they have this really good shrimp. It's like a large grilled shrimp. You get like a whole bunch of them. And I got a salad. Like it wasn't nothing like super fancy. The fanciest thing is the lobster rolls with the caviar. But I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I was just doing it for, a fun experience. And then when I was in Paris visiting my little sister, her family who's in California came and I took them to Restoration Hardware because like they would have never had like a bougie experience like that. And I paid for that for them, like just as a so glad we got to see each other again. I love you guys. Let me take you out for dinner type of thing. But it wasn't nothing crazy. We just went and had a little light bite and some drinks, nothing crazy. And then I went to the not washed caviar. That's funny.
Hey,
so apparently you can make the caviar in a certain way to where the acidity and the saltiness is lower. The guy was explaining it to me. It's like how they make it. And I was like, this is so interesting. And I also love a restaurant that's knowledgeable about the stuff. Like he explains so much stuff to us.
Yeah, you can't go to a chain for that shit. They don't know shit. But no, caviar is basically fish eggs. It's fish roe. It's like, that's it. Now, caviar is specifically from like Russia, from like those waters up there. And those are the more expensive ones. But you go to a sushi place, you see those little orange eggs. That's caviar. It's just, fish eggs.
And I don't be eating those either.
Yeah.
The only fish I'm eating is caviar, and I'm still scared. I still be worried something's going to happen every time I do it.
I've never had like caviar, but one of these days I will because, hey, I want to try it. But no, I haven't had that. But yeah, wasabi roe is banging. Yes. I also learned when I was in Japan that wasabi that is in the States is nothing like the wasabi that is grown in Japan. And up until very recently, you could only get it in Japan, but now you just, get everything anywhere. So yeah.
Yes, Brittany, low sodium caviar. That's what I was trying to say, girl. You knew what I meant. Shit. I don't be eating fancy shrimp like that. I'm trying to think through what the man was saying to me. What is it? What do you mean by this, Robin?
007.
What do you mean?
007. I don't think 007 ever took Amtrak, but I could be wrong.
I do just want to say I agree with this. Paris is dirty as fuck.
I heard that though.
It does not stink. I think they made me think when they were talking about how dirty it was that it stinks. It doesn't smell, but it's just dirty. and the people is really living off of espressos and a croissant. I said, this is fucking insane. That's why y'all so fucking rude like that, because you ain't eating no food. And the only food they offer, like for real, like at every restaurant for sure, is a burger. I said, why y'all ain't got no real food? Are y'all okay? They're not okay. The people in Paris is not okay. They not eating. Steven, I don't think they were prawns. Steven said when you're that fancy, they're prawns, because they did say shrimp on the menu.
No, prawns
not
are
to be prawns.
Prawns are big shrimp. Like if you go down to New Orleans, like they get the big prawns from the Gulf, you know, but those little mini ones aren't prawns. Prawns are just larger shrimp, you know.
Yeah. Brittany said, I let my law firm pay for all them fancy restaurants. I refuse to use my own money. I used my Christmas bonus for my job. I knew that I was going to get a Christmas bonus, and I used the whole thing on that trip for everything I bought. I like just put the money to the side and just was blowing it on stuff. So I was like,
I work in nonprofit.
I didn't put stuff to a budget. But you work in nonprofit, so they what?
I work in a nonprofit, so we pay for our own shit. Like we might have, you know, once a year they might buy us like sandwiches, but no. And right now, you know, but no, I will say that the new office that my job is in, even though I don't have to go in, when I do go in, that kitchen be stocked with like, you know, just snacks, you know, nothing fancy, but just listen, free food. I'm a sucker for free food. All right. That's what I'm saying. All right. Now, someone asks, Zenzabel, is the Arboretum a natural New York phenomenon? I don't understand the question. The Arboretum is like a collection of trees, and their collection of trees that are like on display or whatever, or preserved, whatever, in like botanic gardens. So now you could have maybe like, there are some little hidden gardens and things like that may be arboretums as well in New York City. You should really check out hidden gardens in New York City. It's amazing. There's one I used to go to near Bryant Park. Very, very serene. Has like a little waterfall or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that that's a natural New York phenomenon. You have to elaborate. But yeah. You know, I have not been to Paris yet. But I do have a friend that moved to Paris mainly because he had cancer and he got better treatment there.
Now I have heard you get better treatment there.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody else said, oh, they talking about the prawns in here, but somebody had said something about being a native. Oh, it was pure Zero PE talking about being a native and how people are surprised that he's native to Nashville. I think it's interesting because I know a lot of people who are Black and native to Nashville.
Like, is that a surprise? Like, what is? I assume there
are surprised that Black people are from Nashville. Yeah.
If there's Black people everywhere, especially anywhere in the South, and yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know, let's see, Zenzabel, they brought you bologna sandwiches with plain Lay's chips. I haven't eaten bologna since grade school, and it was beef bologna because, you know, no pork in my house. So no, but I know that shit. But my mama would make me bologna and cheese sandwiches, and I would definitely have. Well, I didn't have Lay's. I had Wise. Wise must be a New York phenomenon or something like that, because Wise chips still the shit. Still, you know, although the bags are getting smaller and smaller while the price stays the same. So, you know, but yes, fond memories. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I had bologna because, you know, like it's no, we don't know. It's processed. It's very like with a lot of chemicals, you know, and they don't care about turkey bologna. You don't see that that often. So
I've never heard of turkey bologna.
I have, because that's pretty much all I could eat. And then I had it, and it was just like, yeah, I could do without turkey bologna.
I'm not gonna hold you. I do love a good bologna sandwich sometimes randomly. It'd be randomly. It'd be like in the most random times, I'd be like, oh, I think I should get a bologna sandwich and some hot chips. And I'll go buy some bologna.
Oh, yeah. So I just, you know, when I grew up, I ate beef, primarily beef and chicken and fish and stuff like that. I don't eat beef anymore, so I'm sure that bologna is probably better than the turkey version. So, like turkey bacon, yuck. Why? So I just don't eat bacon.
I think turkey bacon is nasty.
It's nasty. I don't care how much they try to make it look like, you know, bacon, which I don't eat. I'm just like, nah.
Latif said, I've been to France, but I didn't care to go to Paris. I am interested in going to other places in France, but this was a 2-year trip that we planned out over time, so I would have to plan this out again. I ain't just like I don't have money like that. I know it appears that way because I went and had some caviar, but
Listen, people also don't understand how in New York City I can get everything cheaper than any place else.
yeah, you
I
can. I was
always
getting
find a way to get cheap or less. And it's, it's definitely it's different in other places. I have more options. It's because more people. So yeah,
Yeah, it was a family trip that we went on to visit my little sister who lives in London, and so they actually went longer. Like we have been planning this for 2 years, and they went to Paris, London, and Amsterdam. But I didn't go to Amsterdam. I just went to Paris and London with them because I had to come back because they were like gonna be there past Christmas, and I had already spent Christmas with them, so I need to get back to like spend holiday time with my family here because she's my little sister on my dad's side. So my sister who lives here, my mom and all them, I didn't get to spend any time with them, so I had to come back. But I would go to Amsterdam and go like to the red light district in the future, like eventually. But
not right now.
Once again, I would have to plan the trip.
Yeah.
And it was a whole bunch of shit.
I was gonna do all of that last year, and then all this shit happened with travel bans and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what?
RC said Amsterdam is everything you heard it was. I'm already knowing because I heard
it in there.
Maybe I'm trying to go do drugs.
Listen,
I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I would never do that.
As much as people on this channel have loudly professed about their history of substances, do your thing. No, I know I have a lot of friends that have gone to Amsterdam. I just haven't been I've never been to Europe yet. I want to go to Africa first.
I did go to Africa first, and I'm going back to Africa this year too.
Yeah. I'm planning, I'm thinking, yeah.
I feel like once you go one time on like a group trip, it's easy to go again by yourself. So like I can go by myself and like it'd be easier.
Yeah. I'm definitely going with people. I will have to make a trip to Nigeria. I ain't gotta do it now, but yeah, at some point in the future, I need to go to Nigeria. But yeah, I just, you just want to travel out of capitalism and bigotry. Good luck with that. It's everywhere, even where you think it's not. It's everywhere because white supremacy is global now. So even people that have never seen a white person are affected by white supremacy. It's fucked up. You go to Japan and you see people like with pale skin and like pronounced eyelids because you can do surgery or get some tape to make your It's everywhere. So yeah. What is Yipper saying now? Because man, Yipper is just like my partner in chat because we be cracking jokes and shit. So yeah. Okay, I didn't see what Jared said. The drugs in Amsterdam are weak. Jared has a more experienced drug palette than.
I just feel like if you did crack, you can't even talk.
Thank you. Okay.
You can't talk on the subject. I feel like if you did the real drugs, you can't.
No.
Also, y'all, since we're talking about drugs, this nigga I talked to that I had to stop talking to because he had pissed me off. I realized I'm temperamental too, but also he had pissed me off. I had called him because he was doing shrooms the night before, and I called the next day to check on him because he hadn't said anything. This motherfucker was tripping out. I feel like he wasn't even listening to what I was saying. Like I was like, "Why are you asking these extra questions? Are you on drugs?" And he was indeed on drugs, and I was indeed judging him because to me, if you know you have to work on Sundays, this was Saturday I was talking to him. You know you got to work on Sundays. Why aren't you still on them drugs? And you handle heavy machinery. I just feel like you're irresponsible. And that's my thing. I'm not judging nobody for doing drugs. I'm judging you for being irresponsible on the drugs.
Yes, that is irresponsible.
Irresponsibility is not cool. If you're going to do a line of coke, make sure you're doing a line of coke way before you have to be at somebody's job so that you're able to handle whatever you got to be doing. I messed up and did that shit one time like 8 years ago and was too high and went to work. Never did it again because I learned my lesson. And I just feel like people who do that is not responsible. And that's my only quip with drugs. I have no problem with you doing the drugs. Are you responsible enough to be doing drugs?
Now, here is my Coke story. No, I didn't do any. However, I am against Coke because I dated a guy. He told me that he was a Coke user, and I wasn't cool with it. But I was like, okay, fine. I don't want to judge him because he's fine. Apparently,
Now
Coke.
fine niggas doing Coke.
Listen, apparently, Coke has a negative effect on your ability to get an erection, and that is a deal breaker for me. Why are you here in my house? So no, nope. I tried shrooms several times, and the only time they worked, and I didn't do it by myself because I heard too many stories.
You shouldn't do it by yourself.
I didn't. I was out in Oakland last year with my god sister, and oh my lord, and she had some peanuts or whatever, like candy coated peanuts with the shrooms or whatever, and it was actually pretty cool because I tried it, when she was at my house in New York, and nothing. And I think you have to have an empty stomach and be in the right frame of mind and all this other stuff. I was in the right frame of mind in Oakland, spent the night laughing my ass off, like, oh, this is great. But I will tell you, I also had the best weed in Oakland. So it must be something about California, everything.
Okay? I heard that, though. I heard California be having all the stuff. Also, if y'all see me moving back and forth like this, it's because my dog is under my desk. And he keeps lifting up his head. I feel like I might be looking weird sometimes when I'm like bending down. So I don't want y'all to think I got a problem. Like
I got 2 cats.
Got like a tick or something. I'm fine. It's just my dog is right here.
So yeah, Cali weed is amazing. Like I remember I was like at my friend's backyard in Oakland, just chilling. Actually, we went East Palo Alto, we chilling, everything, and all of a sudden I stopped. I was like, oh my god, this is what high is supposed to feel like. Yeah. So. Unfortunately, with the legal,
David said, y'all fuck with LSD. Best time I've had. No. We know you white, David. That's a white man.
No. Although I heard it's good for people that have schizophrenia and several major psychiatric disorders. I heard it really helps them. I don't.
A manifesto said shrooms never worked on me. How you know they didn't work though? How you know they didn't work? They probably worked a little too good that you don't even realize it. Also, the nigga who was doing shrooms I talked about, he said that when you do shrooms, it's in your system forever. Is that true?
No, I don't think so. No, that's ridiculous.
Because I feel like he was lying. Well, not lying. I feel like he's stupid. And because he's stupid, he probably believes things people tells him. It's something about people who don't question nothing. That also don't be sitting right with me. Why you believe in them?
Exactly. I don't care how accomplished or smart or whatever somebody is. I don't believe everything everybody says. Okay, Sugar Shan tried shrooms a few years ago. All I got was me.
I'm sorry,
David Barnes. I'm light skinned, y'all.
David is white. It's okay, David. Yipper said, "Isn't LSD lotion, soap, and deodorant?"
Well, then I'm on that all the time. Okay.
Oh, Zero, you said no, that's not true about the shrooms being in your body. So yeah, that's what I thought. But also, he seems like a gullible nigga, the person I'm talking about. So I'm not surprised he believed that.
Yeah, I never heard that. I mean, I did hear that you have to. It will emphasize. Yeah.
Like if you're not stable or you haven't been stable before, like in the past or something, shrooms can cause mental breaks. Just like we can cause psychosis too. But like that's like psychosis in people who like are psychotic.
Yep.
Not in regular.
Already, like I did hear that if you're in a bad frame of mind, you should not take mushrooms because it'll just enhance it. So so don't take it to feel better. Take it when you feel better.
The manifesto said it had me yawning and wanting to lay down sideways, but I'm not sleepy. And then you threw up like you tried peyote or something. Is that how you say it? Is it peyote?
Peyote? Yeah, peyote.
Okay, so y'all know Sterling K. Brown from Paradise. I also know him from other shows. Yeah. He did that too. He did whatever that thing. I think peyote or something else. And he talked about how like sometimes people throw up, but sometimes people throw up and poop on themselves at the same time. And he was one of those people. And like afterwards, it was great, but like he threw up and like was rushing to a toilet at the same time. I said,
That's
"Oh
a hard
my!"
pass. That's a hard pass. Okay,
I would not tell nobody that story.
not at all. Unless it's don't do drugs, and this is why. Like no.
Oh my God! Ralph said, "I am Sterling."
No.
A manifesto said, "Peyote is the cactus." Okay, not that then.
It's a cactus.
What is the thing people be doing where they have like a guide out there with them in the desert and shit?
That peyote, certain types of hallucinogenics. Yeah.
Ayahuasca, that's what it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ayahuasca.
I ain't fucking with that either.
I'm sorry, y'all. It was not peyote. He was doing ayahuasca. I knew it was a word that was like difficult for me to say.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And do I trust somebody that much to just be going out in the desert with them? Like, no. Nope. No. We need
somebody said, Good Politics said, I was staring at myself in the mirror, watching myself projectile when I did like 5 grams of shroom last month. See, that's why I don't be doing drugs. And while we're talking about this, go ahead and send us some super chats. I feel like I done told y'all way too much about my life.
Seriously.
So I'm gonna need at least $25.
We need some financial therapy. Because
you know, Yipper, I don't understand why they're out in the desert either. I don't understand why they're doing that shit out in the desert. I don't know why that's a specific location, but it is. For some reason, that's where they want to
down to see you.
And they be in them little tents and shit. I said, what is going on?
Nobody else to see you do all that shit in front of them, I guess. I don't know.
And then Dre said LSD is acid and acid for everybody. No, it's not. It's for white people. And that's what Jimi Hendrix was fucking with. And his ass was around white people. And I don't know about you, but I'm never taking no little cute little starry thing for somebody to put on my tongue.
No.
What the fuck?
No.
Now, we talk about what they taught you in school. Fuck individualism. They wasn't teaching you to not put stupid shit in your mouth. They wasn't teaching you not to put foreign objects in your body.
We were taught don't take candy from strangers. Why are you taking drugs from them?
I'm not doing none of that. No. You talking about here, take some candy out of here. Hell no. Speaking of crazy shit that people have done, I was watching this medical show and these people had to bring their granddaddy, who was like some famous guys from like some famous family, to the hospital, to the emergency room, because he was having issues like with his blood pressure lowering, because their family takes all their medicines that they are prescribed and puts them in a jar and shakes it up and then picks out pills to take. Like It's a fucking adventure. And this nigga then took somebody's blood pressure medicine, but he don't have high blood pressure, and almost killed himself because his blood pressure was so low that he could barely breathe. And I said, you know, one thing about white people, they're gonna do some stupid shit. Why would you do that?
Okay.
And also, then they said, I took it myself. It was puzzle shaped. Why would you do that?
Seriously. And sounds like elsewhere, it was alcohol. No, it was not alcohol. It was a white girl that was with him that didn't roll him on his side. So he basically threw up and he was on his back and he asphyxiated. So had she turned him over, he'd still be here. So I'm going to say.
Sugar saying, hold on. Yeah, she said, I know a lot of drug addicts. I'm related to most of them and we don't do LSD.
Right here.
I feel like people have a hard stop at like cocaine.
I will tell you, my aunt took everything, and she went to Woodstock. So I'm pretty sure she took LSD too. So I'm sure she did.
The people was on drugs.
Everything.
But it looked like they was having such a good time.
They were, or they didn't care that they weren't. It's one or the other. It's like, you know.
That's wild.
Some people don't even remember how much of a time they had in Woodstock. So yeah, you know.
Coolest kid you know said, I don't know, my uncle took his father-in-law's cancer pills, and that's an old country black man. Why? And yes, he almost died. Of course.
Why? Yeah, John Belushi. Who's that dude? So many of them took drugs back then.
It's too much. It's too much.
And even if the drugs didn't kill them immediately, they killed them eventually. There's a lot of musicians, a lot of artists of all kinds died of overdoses.
Y'all try to find LSD over crack, please.
How about neither LSD nor crack? How about that?
I'm not a drug shamer, so hey, I say do what you want to do.
You know, to me, it's like crack is like, I don't know. I've always heard like once you're on it, you're on it, but I'm sure that's not true. But shit, Ooh,
That shit, wow. Okay, well, the show is finna end. So if you haven't sent us money now, you're on my shit list forever.
me too.
I'm kidding. But it's been great. Happy Monday, y'all. Tennessee's special session starts tomorrow. I gotta go to the Capitol and yell at white people.
Good luck with yelling at white people. Yes. So,
You know.
all right.
Well, it was fun to talk with y'all.
Yes, it was.
I think there's more programming later today, so check the YouTube and see what's happening. And I'll see y'all on Friday for Friday Remix.
I'll see her on Friday, but I'll see y'all on Monday.
Peace, y'all.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.